Star Wars fans, some new leaked images of The Mandalorian Season 3 suggest that the Praetorian guards that are Snoke's guards in The Last Jedi could be in The Mandalorian Season 3 on Mandalore. Let's get right into all this crazy stuff right now. What's up guys, Mike, your guy who loves Star Wars here. So today we're talking about the Praetorian guards from The Last Jedi, but they could be in The Mandalorian Season 3. I know sequel haters are going to say that this can't be true because the sequels are still going to be retconned. As much as I don't like the sequels and I don't think they flow with the story of Star Wars, I still can't see them being retconned ever because they made so much money off of them, they put so much money into them. Those characters can still go further on. Rey, Poe, Finn, they could all get better story arcs post Rise of Skywalker, but those sequels aren't going anywhere, and the Mandalorian timeline is going to eventually lead to that. So however you feel about the sequel trilogy, if you want to retcon it, if you don't want to retcon it, and you love it or you hate it or whatever it is, it's going to remain the same. It's just one bad year, as a lot of people have been saying. From the beginning of The Force Awakens to the end of Rise of Skywalker, it's really just like about a year and a half in the galaxy. And a lot of stuff goes on in the galaxy, so a year and a half really isn't that big a deal. So whether you like it or you hate it, either way, it's only a year and a half long. So The Mandalorian is going to end up at that year and a half, but there's going to be stuff past that year and a half that could be better, that could involve Ahsoka, that could involve Grogu, that could involve The Mandalorian, or maybe even Boba Fett, or any of these characters that are being developed right now in the Mando timeline. Now on to the leaked image. This one right here. It's the red helmets like the Praetorian guards that Snoke has in The Last Jedi, but they kind of look a lot like Mandalorian helmets. The theory is, as a lot of fans have recognized, The Mandalorian Season 3 is probably going to bring us back to Mandalore. Mandalore, as we've been told, has been turned to glass when the Empire came and just bombed it, pretty much killing all Mandalorians on the planet, and all the ones that escaped never really tried to go back because the Empire held it. Now, the Empire is pretty much gone, and the remnants of it are fleeting, so Mando gets the Darksaber. Bo-Katan's like, we gotta go back to Mandalore, we're taking it back. So they're gonna get all the Mandalorians that they know, the Armorer, Paz Vizsla, Bo-Katan, all her friends, and they're gonna go back and take back Mandalore. But what's gonna happen when they get there? Who's gonna be there? What's Mandalore even gonna look like? That's why I think this leaked image is so huge. Who's gonna be on Mandalore when they get there? The remnants of the Empire. The whole surface of the planet is probably gonna just be destroyed, but there's going to be bunkers, there's going to be these big buildings and stuff like that the Empire built along its way, and there's going to be remnants of this Empire with maybe even Snoke clones like we saw in The Mandalorian Season 2 in that facility on Nevarro. That was an Imperial facility too that got blown up, and we heard Snoke's theme when it zoomed in on those Bacta tanks that looked like Snoke. All this stuff connecting to Snoke in the First Order could also be on Mandalore in some bunkers or in some buildings that survived on Mandalore with the Empire remnants that are building up a Snoke body. Palpatine's plan for when he died actually gets executed, and we actually see Snoke and the First Order rise up in the galaxy. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau had one mission when they started The Mandalorian, and it's to fill the gap between 6 and 7 and show the rise of the First Order. After Return of the Jedi in 1983, the good guys won. And then in 2015, when the sequel trilogy starts, which is supposed to take place about 30 years after the original trilogy, the bad guys are back, and the good guys have lost, and the rebellion and the resistance is now the rebellion, and the Empire is now the First Order. But how the hell did that happen? I mean, not a lot of people really know what's going on here. Why are the good guys not in control anymore? What the heck happened? And that was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's goal, was to fill that in and show the rise of the First Order. So although the Mandalorian is such a good character, good guy, whatever, there's going to be the First Order, who are the bad guys, just rising up to power for the rest of these 20-25 years in between 6 and 7, because they become the big power in the galaxy, so much so that the New Republic just gets decimated, and Leia has to lead the resistance, and Han gets split off from Leia, and Luke goes and hides because he's so scared of the First Order and his nephew. That's a big gap to fill. So starting off with the Mandalorian and this Grogu character is a pretty good start, but we're going to have to get to the point where the First Order comes into power and starts to gain power. And I think that starts with the Imperial remnants that are on Mandalore and the ones that we saw that got blown up on Nevarro, building up the First Order. And Thrawn is going to be thrown in there a lot, especially when the Ahsoka Tano show starts. There's going to be Thrawn built in there, and he's probably going to be a big part of why the First Order rose up. And maybe he's even the one who gave it the name First Order, because he's a lot different than Palpatine as a ruler. He probably wouldn't want a second galactic empire. He would want his First Order. So maybe Thrawn is the actual guy who named it the First Order, and that would be pretty cool, honestly. I'm a huge Thrawn fan, and if you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels, go watch it. But Thrawn has first appeared in that. So if you want some background on Thrawn before the Ahsoka show comes out and you see Thrawn, or he even shows up in The Mandalorian Season 3, you're going to want to go watch Rebels first. But at some point, way before The Force Awakens Episode 7, Snoke has to come into power. So at what point does that actually happen? When does he actually exist and actually come to power? I think it has to be sometime in this Mando timeline, like right now. This is 5 to 7 to 10 years after Return of the Jedi, so he only has about 20 to 25 years to gain up all that power. That's not a lot of time. Snoke has to exist at this time. I think he's going to exist on Mandalore and maybe even somehow escape from Mando, or it's going to be another clone and they're going to destroy him. But again, it's not going to work because the First Order, we know, inevitably will come to power, and Snoke himself will come to power. So it's going to be awesome. The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to take us back to Mandalore. If you've never seen Mandalore before, it's probably because you haven't seen the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Again, go watch these animated shows. It will make your enjoyment of these live-action shows like The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, even the Kenobi show that's coming out, and the Andor show. It's going to make those experiences a whole lot better. So you really want to watch those animated shows. But Season 3 will be the return of the Mandalorians to Mandalore, and it will be awesome, and it will have the leader Din Djarin with the Darksaber coming back to Mandalore and building it back up. It is very strange that we didn't see Mandalore or the Mandalorians at all in the sequel trilogy. Again, just 1.5 years, but we didn't see any of the Mandalorians or Mandalore, so something weird has to happen there. We don't know what's going on. Maybe they're just rebuilding their planet and they don't really want to leave that much, or we don't know what's going on. Maybe they want nothing to do with the First Order, so they're like, we're just going to stay on our planet and protect our planet and protect our people. That could make sense because there's not a lot of Mandalorians left, so maybe they're just going around getting some more Mandalorians, just building up their planet and saying, First Order, stay away, we don't want anything to do with you. So that might be what's going on with Mandalore in the sequel trilogy, but that needs to be explained, and I think it will in The Mandalorian Season 3/4/5/ hopefully 700, because The Mandalorian's awesome. But tell me in the comments below, do you think Snoke and his Praetorian guards are coming in Mandalorian Season 3? These leaked images show us the Praetorian guards with kind of helmets that look like Mandalorian helmets. So who knows what's going on Mandalore right now, but definitely the Empire is going to have some presence there. Tell me in the comments below what you think's going on Mandalore right now. Smash like, hit subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video, and my pretty face will show up in that recommended feed of yours. The Mandalorian Season 3 is coming so soon, and we could be seeing Snoke and his Praetorian guards almost as soon as this year. So get hyped, and may the Force be with you always.